Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out of this world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, sensual movement artist, relationship and sex alchemist, Milica Jelenic.
Well, hello, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. Now, this is an adventure that I have yet to see whether I enjoy or not. This is fun. For those of you who are listening on audio, as you have for the last 6 years, which is amazing, and I love your dedication to pleasure and to your own pleasure and to my show, and it's just so amazing that you've been around this long. What you might notice different this time is that you have a video option. How ridiculously cool is that? Cool for you guys. You get to see my faces during the show. You get to see other things. So for those of you who are inspired to be inspired by looking at me, this is your new opportunity to do so. So if you are just listening on audio, know that there are options to see on video. And I encourage you to go over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com to see after a few days after this podcast is created, you're going to be able to get the video. So isn't that exciting? In the future, there may be videos that are very exciting where I get to do some things like examples of blowjobs maybe on video. We'll see how daring I get. Right now, I'm just excited to be on video and be able to share different media with you guys. So today we have a very fun topic, talk about sharing. We are sharing. This is actually a show about sharing, and today's show is called Compersion. What is compersion? Sounds like perversion, but it's not. So compersion, what is it? It's actually a term that was coined by a group in San Francisco that were like a polyamorous, polyfidelity group. They talked a lot about what compersion is. There were books written about it by them, as far as I know. And there are actually quite a few people who have written books about polyamorous lifestyles. And I did find a really cool quote that that actually polyamory is an incorrect word. It's a mix between Greek and Latin. So it should either be polyphilia or multiamory. And I kind of like the idea that we need to change that word because it doesn't quite match, because it's tapping into too many cultures all at once and confusing the heck out of people who do etymology. So we are going with polyphilia or multiamory. I like it. I like them both. And for today, we are actually talking about how can you enjoy this? So there's a lot of people who are curious about it. And last week's show was getting into a little bit of the idea of how do you actually have or start to have a polyamorous, so-called polyphilial, multiamorous lifestyle, and why? Like, what is having you choose this? And so to look at the motivation that you have to have this, to choose this, you can look at your motivation behind it. And we looked at different things to explore before choosing this whole new lifestyle. This lifestyle that maybe you're thinking could be the rescue of your relationship, but maybe not. So listen to last week's show for sure on, it was called Ethical Non-Monogamy, and that'll give you a kind of a background into what we're talking about today. Yes, I'm directing you to listen to more shows. Why? Because it's fun. And on audio, you can listen to it anytime. So that show is July 6, 2020, for those of you who are listening in the future and you would like to know what those references are. So definitely go back and listen to some of these shows. There are actually multiple shows you'll probably enjoy if this is your very first time jumping on the Pleasure Zone with me. I have over 270 shows podcasted. It's exciting and so much love going on. So definitely find us. You can find all of those shows on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. And so go there. You can find them all there. And there are many links to other places if you'd like to download on Spreaker or whatever. If you're, if you have a favorite place to listen to podcasts, you're going to find our show there under podcasts. All our shows on the Inspired Choices Network, you'll find them in different podcast places, and you can find my past shows under podcasts. So there you go. So that was a bit of a diversion, a fun one. However, the one thing that we are mainly looking at today is what is compersion and why would we choose that? So compersion itself, I've kind of simplified the meaning of it. So compersion itself is actually when you can have joy for other people's pleasure. That's kind of the most, I guess you could say, the most basic explanation of this. And compersion was a term coined by the Keristan Commune in San Francisco. And so that commune was in existence in the 1970s and it disbanded in the 1990s, but the concept of having joy for other people's pleasure is still alive today. It's actually not new. It's not new in the universe. And you can look at things historically, because I like to look at things historically, and there are different cultures throughout the world who have had different scenarios where compersion was, part of their kind of like everyday experience. And one of the things with that is, if you can kind of look at, say, let's go to Roman orgies. And the Roman orgies were really about enjoying other people's enjoyment. So we can go back as far as them. I'm sure we can go back further than that as well. And I'm sure we can go back to a time where there may not have been jealousy, but there might have been another energy of, like, instead of jealousy, it could have been ownership of the person, because, we did do that for a long time historically, and it still occurs today. So when we look at the value of the concept that I'm talking about today, compersion, actually having joy for another person's joy is pretty awesome when you think about it. So when you can have joy for other people having pleasure, is there any room for jealousy? Is there any room for jealousy when you actually enjoy other people having pleasure? There's a thought, right? So my thought was around this show was that how do we actually have the ability to let go of these energies of jealousy? And jealousy is such a big topic. And as a big topic, I also know that one of the great things is to look at it and kind of look at components of it. And so one of the components of it is, with jealousy, sometimes people are feeling like they're left out, or like everybody else is having more fun and they're not included. And how can you actually have enjoyment of other people's pleasure? And I was thinking about this in simple terms, because I like to simplify things. So let's simplify. If you have a child or a pet or even a friend, we're not going to bring it into loverships yet, because those, somehow throwing something into a lovership puts everybody into a frenzy and it becomes weird and genitals get involved and then jealousy gets involved. So I want to simplify this whole concept of compersion, where you can enjoy other people's pleasure. So as a mom, I like to look at it from, do I enjoy watching my daughter have pleasure? I'm not talking sexual pleasure. I'm not saying I'm sitting around watching my daughter pleasure herself or something. Like, we're not getting stupid here. So what I like to do is, like, if she's painting and she's having fun, it's so much joy to watch her have fun. My husband lover is an amazing example of this. We'll go back when there was no COVID. We will go to Canada's Wonderland. So it's like a theme park in Canada, and lots of rides and other things. And my husband lover doesn't really like rides and things, but what he does like, and he loves to go with us to watch us have fun. And at first I was like, you like watching us have fun? And he's like, yeah, it's so fun for me to watch you guys have fun. Now that, my friends, is compersion. So do you love enjoying watching the people you love have fun? And do you get the energy, like with my lover husband, he's not feeling like excluded. He's invited himself in to watch us have fun. Now, how cool is that? And when you think about it, you can think about it in those simple terms from a parenting perspective. You can watch your child have fun. Maybe they've made a new friend and they're learning a new skill. And there can be so much joy in watching somebody have these new experiences and learning experiences. So what I invite you to do is look at all the places in your life where you already do this. Where are all these places where you enjoy people enjoying themselves? A lot of them, I bet you. Unless you feel really left out and lonely a lot of the time, then I would say that if you're feeling left out and lonely a lot of the time, then you probably are not inviting yourself to enjoy other people's enjoyment. If you are inviting yourself into their energy and they're inviting you into their energy, then you can actually enjoy what they're enjoying. So how do you do that? How do you invite yourself into other people's joy? Because isn't that like an invasive thing? Well, the truth is, if you are, for example, if I'm inviting somebody into my joy and they say yes to it, then that's cool. And if they'd like to invite themselves into my joy and they start receiving it, essentially I've given permission for them to receive pleasure with that. So if you've already started receiving joy from my joy, I've given you permission, because otherwise I'm stellar at putting up walls if I wanted to, and I could do that like a rock star and you wouldn't be able to feel my joy. So if you're feeling it, that's because I'm letting you. Just saying. So what else we can look at is, in terms of like, how do you enjoy other people's joy, is that you can look at for yourself, when for example people kind of like cheer you on or are happy for you, and how do you react to that? Like, can you actually receive other people enjoying your joy? Is that something that's possible for you, or does it make you uncomfortable? See, there's like so many angles and perspectives to this whole concept of compersion that will have you probably realize that both you can have it and you probably have some walls up to it. So my thing today is to invite you to look at the ways that you can have more of it, not so that you're necessarily having to sit around and watch your partner or your lover having sex with another lover. We don't have to go that far today. We're just going to the place where we're inviting the concept in so that we can start to eliminate things like jealousy and fear and loneliness and exclusion. So compersion is an amazing way to actually have inclusion, and including yourself in other people's pleasure and allowing them to include you in their pleasure too. So we do have these great and cute tendencies to kind of like try and blockade stuff like that. Like, no, I don't want you to know this. I don't want you to feel this. So we'll put up a wall so that nobody will know you're having pleasure. But in fact, if you just let your barriers down and let everybody receive your pleasure, they would just feel it. Go, oh, that's pleasure. Don't know where it's coming from. That's cool. Awesome. So I encourage you to, we're going to be heading to a commercial break. And when we do, I encourage you to just check, where do you have walls up? Where have you built like fortresses around you that stop you from receiving the joy that other people have? Even if you don't like the person, what if it's okay to see them having joy and let a little bit of that and then go, you know what, it's actually okay that they're having joy. That one is a little bit weird, isn't it? I know. Like, if you don't like your partner very much and it bothers you that they're having fun in life and you just want them to suffer, it's a little bit hard to let in the joy of their joy. But once you do, those walls come down and you can receive more and you can receive more. Those walls don't know what they're built for. So they're just going to hold out a lot of stuff, hold out a lot of love, hold out a lot of money, hold out a lot of everything. So we're just here to like break down those barriers. and find a new way to start to receive even more joy for your pleasure, for other people's pleasure. Can you imagine if you were feeling pleasure all the time for other people's pleasure and that was your pleasure? What world is a pretty awesome place if that's the case. So just like you can feel, I bet most of you listening can feel people's pain and agony and you're empathic towards that, but you never really considered being empathic towards their joy, or never really considered being empathic towards all things that are pleasurable. Why? Because we decided empathy is it's only for feeling crap and feeling sad for the person and feeling their feelings, but their feelings are so sad and deep and desperate and depressed. No, you can feel their joy too. You can feel their pleasure. How awesome is that? So we're taking a skill like empathy. So it's not just a skill, it's a talent of empathy, something you're born with. And we're not making it wrong. We're just using it for our benefit to actually receive more pleasure. Isn't that fun? So we can use our empathy to receive more pleasure because we can feel other people's pleasure if we choose to and not make it weird and not get jealous about it. All right, so we're going to practice that real soon. And in the meantime, we're heading to our first commercial break. You are listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today from the U.S., call 815-880-TALK. That's 815-880-8255. From Canada, dial 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Or send your questions or comments via email to info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, that's fun. I always like the music on my commercials, and I wasn't sure whether I should share my usual dancing with you guys. So I did. My friend and producer is saying, hell yeah, move around, do your thing. I generally am like bopping in the background, and you guys can't see that normally because I'm on audio only, but now I'm on video too. How delightful. So today, what are we talking about? Compersion. It's not a perversion. It's not. And I don't even have an aversion to compersion. I'm actually quite interested in it. Having more joy with other people's joy and pleasure. So fun. So like I was saying, as a mother, I can look at myself as a parent and see where my child's having joy, and I have so much joy for her joy. Like when she feels like accomplished in something, it's so joyful for me. And when, if we're doing something and she's having a blast, like I was saying, going to Canada's Wonderland, the theme park that we have in Ontario, and well, we have many, but that's one of the main ones. And, even my lover husband, he loves just going with us and enjoying our joy. And I think that's just so, like, how awesome is that? I think I have like maybe the coolest lover husband out there. Just saying, I have a pretty cool one. And to have somebody who is really awesome at just receiving your joy and having joy receiving your joy is just so cool. So there's like the jealousy eliminates, it's gone, because it's just like, you're joyful, I'm happy for you. It's wonderful. And so let's again go down to the level of if you don't have kids, maybe you have pets. And if you do have a pet, what if, seeing your dog or your cat, let's go with dogs, because a lot of people have dogs and dogs are pretty active. Cats can be pretty cash cats. And the dog, like say you have a dog and your dog is in a dog park having fun, sniffing butts, doing dog things like playing games and ball and chasing things, and like, how much relief do you have in your body and joy do you have in your body watching even your pet have joy? And I know that you, for mamas and papas out there, have absolutely awareness on when your fur babies are not doing well, because you'll feel sad and you'll feel like, what have I done wrong? Like, there's so much judgment around them not having fun that I know you guys enjoy watching your pets have fun. Unless you're a jerk and you don't like anybody having fun, well, then you're just a jerk. I can't do much for you when you're just a jerk. And that's your choice. So that's where the hands come in, and I'm like, that's just your choice. That's what you're going to do with it. So there you go. So what can you do then to invite that into other areas of your life? So you've got this energy, you know what it's like to enjoy your pet, playing with other pets, you know what it's like to enjoy watching your child enjoy their body, learning to walk, run, play, swim. It's so delightful. As human nature, we actually enjoy these things. We like watching things like people enjoying themselves. We wouldn't have pornography if we didn't. We wouldn't have art that's thousands of years old depicting people having pleasure acts, because we've always enjoyed this. We've just somewhere made it really, really wrong to enjoy watching other people have pleasure. And somehow watching other people have pleasure, as long as it's not our partner, is okay. But if it's your lover partner, somehow it's wrong. You can watch porn and be like, wow, that's great. Look what those people are doing. They're having so much fun. They're doing it anal, and then they're doing something else, and they don't even care about the mouth, vagina, anus rule. They don't care. They're just doing it because they're porn stars, and you're like cheering them on because you think they're awesome. You're like, yeah, porn stars. So I know there's a lot of you out there watching porn, so I'm just saying that you like watching people have pleasure. You like it. So now let's change the scenario. And instead of watching porn, you're going to have you as one of the characters watching, say, for example, your lover. Well, let's just start with your lover enjoying their own body, not even with another person. Let's just watching your lover masturbate and you're not involved. You're just on the sidelines as a viewer. How do you feel about that? Do you feel left out? And I know there are people out there who do feel left out, and that's okay. Like, if you feel like if your partner's masturbating and you're not involved and you feel left out, again, how can you invite yourself into receiving more pleasure with this? So for those of you who truly cannot receive other people's pleasure, maybe you have an inability to receive pleasure. Maybe you're anhedonia. You have anhedonia, the inability to experience pleasure. Maybe you have that. I don't know that there are that many people in the world who actually have that. I don't have stats on that. However, if you do have the ability to feel any pleasure, you can translate that into other areas to start to receive pleasure, even with your partner having pleasure, pleasuring themselves. We'll start with that. Oh, because we're moving our way in. See how I'm sneaking my way in for you? I'm taking you from your children and your pets, and I'm sneaking it in. We're going to porn. We're going to other things. I'm just getting sneaky and naughty, and I'm showing you how you can actually have pleasure with your partner having pleasure. What? All right. And some of you have more pleasure watching your partner have pain, and that's okay. That's just another way, the pain that's pleasurable. And that's a whole other component to this as well. We're going to keep it simple today. Pleasure for pleasure with a non-BDSM component right now. I'm sure I can go into that level too. I might, who knows, we'll see. I don't have a script. This is how I operate. So when I look at you and your partner's masturbating, I'm looking at this, I'm enjoying it. So let's look at this scenario. So your partner's masturbating, and let's say you walk in on your partner masturbating, and you're like, why, dear Lord, why don't you ever masturbate with me? Or why don't you just have sex with me? Now you could go down that tunnel and you could jump into that sewage pile and feel all sad and sorry for yourself. Or you can stop in that doorway as your partner is having pleasure and pleasuring themselves. Maybe it's in a field, I don't know, maybe it's in their car. Wherever it is, you've come upon your lover partner and they're masturbating. You can be in a space of stop, first stop, because if you don't stop, you tend to go into crazy. So stop, take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Awesome. And as you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to just consider that there is an alternative here. Just for a second, go, I wonder if I could receive pleasure from this too. I wonder if I could receive pleasure from this too. I wonder what pleasure I could receive from this. Ask that question. Questions are amazing. This is not about having everybody have the same approach, because your approach will be different. And the question is, I wonder if I could. Wow, what a concept. What if I could? So if I could, I wonder what it would be. And if I could have pleasure from my partner having pleasure, what would that look like? What would that feel like in my body? So remember, we stopped at the door, took a deep breath, and we started to question, is it even possible? I wonder if I could receive pleasure from my partner having pleasure. Be with that. Now, if you're not somebody who works well with scenarios when they happen, you can practice this as a thought, as a meditation in your mind, right? So get yourself in a comfortable position, and you can imagine the scenario in your mind, right? So, and if you're not a visual person, that's okay. You can get the sensations of what this would be like for you. So, okay, so you close your eyes and you're like, your imagination kicks in. Okay, so there's my lover. I'm already happy thinking about this. Like, there's my lover on the bed or wherever, somewhere naughty, let's say. I'm on a massage table. How fun is that? And I just happened to walk in on this beautiful vision of my lover partner, just enjoying their own body. That in itself, that even the idea delights my body so much, I can't even tell you. And if it doesn't delight your body, that's okay. We're going to bring in that vision. Now, first, I want you to be aware of what sensations are going through your body. What are you noticing? Is there anger rising? Is there frustration? Is there jealousy? Is there joy? What's rising? What are you noticing as an emotional reaction to this? Or you feel nothing. You're like, it's another day. My partner masturbates 24/7. I feel nothing. Either way, huge reaction, no reaction, there's something going on there, right? Awesome. There's something. So now I'd like you to take whatever that something is and just notice where it is in your body. And notice that anywhere in your body, if there's like a clenching, like the anger is maybe in your tummy or in your groin or in your head, and I want you to ask it, is that necessary? Do I require this feeling right now? Is this feeling contributing to creating greater for me? Do I require this feeling? Now, for me, the joy is pretty awesome. So I'm getting a yes to the like, I require the joy. I'll have that. And if it's like anger, it may be like, maybe it's a yes to the anger. Cool. And then you just be with that emotion. And you might not be able to move past that yet. But if you get a no to the anger, then you can go, cool, anger, you can just send it on its way. You can literally just, like it's an invitation for a person to leave your home. Okay, anger, you can start to leave now. Thank you. Pack up your stuff and get out of my house. Called my body. See you later. Adios, amigo. Take a deep breath in and out. And just notice. You're going to just keep noticing these emotions and these things rising until your body does find even one tiny little speck of joy, because I know you have it in you or you'd be dead. So you got a tiny speck of joy in there somewhere, and I'm inviting you to find that and bring it forward. And even if it's like looking at their body brings you joy. If none of this brings you joy, you might want to question your partnership. I'm just saying, like, is this person actually working for you? So if you're in a partnership where this person isn't really working for you, no matter what you look at with them in the room is just going to turn you off. But if you actually enjoy your partnership, your lovership, then there's going to be something in there that turns you on and gets you happy. So I want you to just be present with them and the energy and the thought of them enjoying their body. That's all I'm asking for right now. Cool. So we are heading to our next commercial break. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. You can dance along with me. You can have some fun during this commercial. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today from the U.S., call 815-880-TALK. That's 815-880-8255. From Canada, dial 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Or send your questions or comments via email to info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. I think this is so funny because I actually do this with my hands. For those of you who are watching video, I do a lot with my hands on this show that you never see, that you will now see via video if you're choosing the video. And yes, I talk a lot with my hands. You'd think I'm an Italian, but I'm close, across from the Adriatic. I'm a little half of that and a little bit of this. And that's how it rocks. So you are listening to the Pleasure Zone. Why? Because you're a genius. I'm telling you that if you're listening to this show, you're probably a pleasure seeker genius looking for something greater in life. And that is amazing. I love that about you. For those of you who have no idea who this wild, crazy woman with wild, crazy hair is, I'm Milica Jelenic, and I am a sex and intimacy coach, and I'm working on my relationship coaching as well. And I've been working in the realm of pleasure with bodies, with movement, from an energetic and a movement and a healing perspective for over 23 years. I don't even know anymore. It's been a long time, my friends. 23 years. That's right. That is the correct number, since I was 22. So, well, since I was 22 officially, but my whole life, actually. I've always been working on healing and energetic work. I was doing that in utero, but I was consciously doing it when I was 2. Yeah, it goes way back. So, a lot of us have these talents that we've been doing our whole lives. And actually, the truth is, compersion is one of them. Compersion and the ability to enjoy other people's joy is one of them. When you look at babies, if we don't project anything onto them, which we tend to do, but if you have babies that you've never projected anything onto, if you have never projected anything onto your child, I'd like to talk to you, because that's a miracle. But even if you've projected some things, but not a lot of things, like if you've never projected jealousy onto your child, then your child might not be jealous. So, for example, my daughter has this amazing ability to have compersion for people. I remember when, like, she was in grade 2 or 3 or something, and she had a friend who was dancing, and she was on stage. And I said, oh, you want to see this video of your friend? And she's like, yeah. So I showed her, and she's like, hand on her heart. She was like, isn't it so beautiful? She loves dancing so much. I'm so happy for her. And I like had tears welling in my eyes. I'm like, I am so grateful that I have a person in my life who is so happy for other people's happiness. What a gift. Like, what a gift she could have been like, yeah, well, who cares? She la la la. And like, she could have gotten jealous. I know a lot of kids who get jealous. And, even, I have a niece who's an incredible little actress musician, and she's hilarious. And my daughter enjoys her as much as I enjoy it. And there's like, she'll even be like, look at her, she's so funny. And so this has been like her energy with her whole life. Although when my daughter was really little, she was a little bit afraid that we were laughing at my niece, and she was very protective of her, and she didn't want people to hurt her. So she's always had empathy towards her, and it started off as a protective empathy, and then it became a I can enjoy with you empathy. So I think all of us have come in with this ability to enjoy other people's joy, but we've been trained out of it. We've even been probably told, maybe we're looking at something and our body goes, and a parent's like, don't be jealous of so-and-so. Well, you weren't actually jealous. You might have just been like wowed by their awesomeness, and you were trying to receive it and expand your being to receive the awesomeness you just saw. And then somebody, parents probably, because parents, we do this, projected, don't be jealous of so-and-so, you're great too. That's not what they were asking for. They were just trying to receive some energy, people. Just let them receive. All right, so if you have that, if you have had people projecting this kind of stuff at you, all you got to do is acknowledge, like, oh, wow, I've had so much stuff projected at me about jealousy that isn't even freaking mine. Write it out, burn it. It's one way to get rid of it. Ask your body to release it. Your body's a genius. So just ask your body everywhere you're holding on to jealousy to release it, dissipate it, transmute that energy into compersion and joy of embodiment of your own and joy of other people's pleasure, all of it. If we could convert everything that we thought was outside of us into a joy of their receiving it, how much fun would that be? Ooh, there's a little bit of a spin off. Ugh. Okay, so if that's going to be like where the video stops, I bet you. It's like I had this face that was like awkward, and you know how videos always stop where the awkward face happens? That's going to be that one for me, I guarantee it. So if you could actually receive joy from other people's joy, what would your body feel like? What would your day be like? What would your mind perceive? Like, how much more space would you have and lightness of being would you have if everybody's joy was your joy? And right now on the planet, we have so much freaking judgment happening. You're not wearing a mask, and you're not wearing a mask, and you're not wearing a mask, and you are wearing a mask, and you're spreading diseases, and you're and you didn't get a vaccine, and you're doing this. There is so much judgment about people's choices that nobody, very rarely, I'm going to say rare, it's not nobody because I don't want to we're not going to project that onto the planet. It's rare, and it's possible to expand this. It's rare that we can actually receive joy in other people's choices. Why? Because we got to be freaking right. And until you have realized that you don't have to be right, or you don't have to be excluded, or, they're anti-vaxxers or they're vaxxers, and I'm not part of those categories, so I'm left out. I'm all by myself. If you're feeling all alone, where are you not inviting yourself to receive joy from other people's choices? I'm going to say that again. If you're feeling alone, are you willing, and have you been willing, to receive joy from other people's receiving of pleasure and joy in their choices? Now I'm wondering, and I'm thinking, you probably haven't been willing to receive joy from other people's joy. Why? Because you've now created jealousy, which is a lack mentality. It's a they have and I don't, and I could never have because I'm not worthy. It's a big fat lie. So you got some jealousy going on in there. You got some righteousness going on in there, which when you're right, then it's when you're really right, you just can't let anybody in because you're so right there. Everybody is wrong. So when you're really, really right, is there any room for everybody else or anybody else? Well, maybe the people who match your opinion on some things. But then if they disagree with you on something else, they're out of there. It's like the people have to match you 100% completely. And I have to tell you that in my friendships, I don't know of anybody who matches my opinions completely, and I wouldn't want that because I think that would be freaking boring. So I have more dynamic friendships with people with varying choices and points of view, and inviting variety into my life is like having a smorgasbord of love. And how cool is it that I would choose to receive love from even people that I don't share the same opinion with? So do you choose that, or are you excluding that? Are you excluding the ability to receive joy from other people's choices? Choices can include many things: what they eat, what they believe, what they're creating with their bodies, what they're creating in their loverships. So, if you think that everything they're choosing is wrong, and you can't receive them, and you're jealous of them at the same time, you can't actually receive joy from their joy. So if their joy is even to limit themselves, which we all do, so don't make this like, I don't limit myself. Hell yeah, we all do it. If I didn't limit myself, I'd be flying right now like Icarus, but I probably would wait to not have wax to melt and fall to the ground. So I would have some wings and I'd be flying, but I've limited myself, so I'm not flying right now, I'm just saying. So, and it wouldn't even be like an airplane. It would be like wings. I'd be flying everywhere. So screw the driving, I want the flying. And so if we didn't limit ourselves, and we all do it, how much more love and pleasure could we receive from other people in the world? So much. I know it's delightful. And remember what I was saying before about loverships and like walking in on your lover, and how do you feel like when you have that sensation that you're walking in on your lover, loving up their body by themselves. Now, some of you even struggle with that, and that's cool. And I get it. And some lovers in the past might have really bothered you and you just wanted to slap them. But the thing is, they're lovers from the past. And there's a reason for that. It's because they didn't work for you and you couldn't actually receive their joy, and they couldn't receive your joy. And that's okay. You're in a different place now. You're not with them, and that's okay. So we're talking about your current loverships. If you're in a lovership and you still can't receive pleasure from their pleasure, you want to start to ask, well, what is really going on? Do you actually enjoy this person's company? Is this person that you're co-creating with? What is the value of this relationship? There's a lot of questions to ask. And if you do have a lot of questions and want to kind of have an evaluation of your relationship and you want some tips and tools on that, I would love you to contact me through my website. So that's milicajelenic.com, MilicaJelenic.com. Contact me and reach out, and I will gift you 15 minutes of my love and time and tools and get you started on your path to a more successful relationship. If you happen to love me after that, we can absolutely create more and have more coaching sessions. And if you don't love me after that, that's cool too. I hope you receive something, even if it was rejecting me as something that you received. That's cool too. So, deep breath. We're talking about compersion today, and what a topic, because it's a big one, because it's not that easy for all of us to receive joy from other people's pleasure all the time. It's just something that we often think that means we're left out. So remember, if you don't have a lover, start with a pet. If you don't have a pet, maybe you have a child. If you don't even have that, that's okay too. You can just view it from, maybe you like porn. View it from there. There's all kinds of ways that you can see and perceive where you can receive other people's joy and pleasure. Cool. So we're heading to our last commercial break here on the Pleasure Zone. You're listening to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today from the U.S., call 815-880-TALK. That's 815-880-8255. From Canada, dial 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Or send your questions or comments via email to info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Woo! Welcome back, sweet pleasure seekers. This has been an interesting and entertaining time. Getting to look at myself on video as we're recording this live for you guys. So it's live on video and audio. So whatever you're listening on and watching on, I hope you've been enjoying this episode. Me and my faces. I hope to have some other things in the future, like props. How fun would that be? Dildos, etc. in the background. Love goddesses hanging from my background. I like a love goddess right here. Nice love goddess. All right. I almost got this great sculpture. My husband we went to this pottery place and it's amazing. And it had this giant naked woman's butt, and he loves butts. And he's like, that's your butt? We need to get that statue. Mind you, the statue was like $450, and that wasn't currently something we were choosing to spend our money on, although we had a big contemplation moment for that and was like, should we get this statue? This statue's awesome. She's sexy. He's like, you should put her in your office. So wouldn't that be great? I'd be staring at this bum all day and be totally distracted. Her bum was huge, like just hugely beautiful. Just in this like position and stone. It was awesome. Anyways, I just got sidetracked by butts. So, and not really sidetracked though. So it was quite fun because my lover husband, he's like enjoying all these beautiful statues of like naked women, and he's like grabbing their asses, and I'm like, you go, man, that's awesome. That's compersion, my friends. I could have been like, yeah, you like her butt better than mine, and her and like comparing. It's a statue. Like even a person, it's like her body is different than my body, or even if it's his body is different than my body. I would hope that you like some variety in your life where things can get a little bit boring, right? So how much fun can you have enjoying, starting off with those simple things of you enjoying watching things like your pets have fun, your children have fun, and people just having joy of embodiment. I have a little niece who's amazing. She's like 3, and we always have bets when they arrive at our place. How long will it take her to take her clothes off before she gets out of the car? Well, usually the bet is about 2 minutes, but this last time they came to visit us, she was naked before she was even out of the car. This kid's awesome, and it's so fun to watch her strutting around in her naked self, enjoying her body, like, life is so good, and I love myself, and look at my naked body. And she doesn't even think about herself as like her naked body, but she's so much enjoyment of her own body that it's so fun to watch her like just running around like a naked wild woman. I'm like, we all cheer her on. We're like, you go, woohoo! That is compersion. Now, we could sit back and go, oh, that's so wrong. I can't believe she's doing that. Why? Because it's from jealousy or judgment of wrongness. That's not what's happening. We're like cheering this kid on. We're having more pleasure as you're having more pleasure, and that's freaking awesome. And I invite you to enjoy other people's enjoyment, even if it's food. Start something small. If you don't know how to do it, start with something small. Like if you're having cake together and you're like, and they're really enjoying the cake, and you could just stop for a moment and receive. What is it like for you to be in the presence of people having pleasure? What an idea. What is it like for you to be in the presence of people having pleasure? How does it make you feel? Do you feel strange? Do you feel awkward? Do you love it? Would you like more of it? Now, if you are feeling strange and awkward, are you judging it as wrong, being in their presence when they are having pleasure? Is there something that you've been told makes that very wrong? And I bet you a lot of people have been told it's not okay to watch people have pleasure. That's like, it's personal and it's private, even because we don't really know or sense the difference between somebody masturbating and somebody enjoying cake. Their body is lighting up orgasmically regardless. And what we sense is the orgasmic energy of joy coming through them. And we've been told that's naughty and wrong. So it's like pornography and we have to hide it. So if you can be willing to just even enjoy somebody enjoying food or a drink in your presence and just sit and like be with them while they enjoy it, bet you your world will start to open up. Then you'll be able to enjoy your partner masturbating. Then, even if you were taking it to the extreme, you would actually be able to be in the presence of your partner, enjoying another body, and you'd be so happy for them and their joy of their embodiment. So isn't that an interesting concept? But we got to start small sometimes, and we got to start with things that we can recognize and identify with. We can identify with things like enjoying food in somebody else's presence, right? I'm so grateful for all of you, and we have a lineup of shows coming for you next in the next few weeks that are already posted, so I hope you enjoy those. Go to the Inspired Choices Network to find them. In the meantime, I invite all of you to be, what is it? You know what this is. Stay tuned in and turned on, and I super look forward to having you guys on next week.
Thank you for listening to The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. The Pleasure Zone returns next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.